Hey everybody, Captain B-Nard back here with another Wi-Fi battle. Exciting day today because we have the quarterfinals of the BHDL3 Draft League tournament, and this is going to be against Viradu. This is actually going to be our 6th match here on Scarlet and Violet, I believe. A very strong competitive battler and experienced Draft League participant. We played him just a couple of weeks ago in Week 8 actually. That game did not go our way, so we're hoping to change our fortunes with this one. So we're going to go ahead and get the battle on its way by searching. And there we go. Of course, IGN is going to be Viradu. And let's see what he has this time. Okay, so different team for sure. Much different team, actually. So he's got the Houndstone still. He's got the Walking Wake. He's got the Azelf. He's got the Moltres. He's got the Tyranitar. And he's got the Excadrill. Alright, so, yeah, this is quite a different team than what we saw last time. He actually has half of the different mons. This was kind of closer to what I was expecting him to bring the first time we had this game. As you can see, I brought the same Pokemon, although I have some different sets on them. Whether or not that's going to work out in our favor, I don't know. But I think our plan here, my plan was if I saw these Pokemon, I was going to lead Rotom Wash again, so I think nothing changes that math. I think we still lead with Rotom Wash here. Yeah, I think we lead with Rotom Wash, and we see how that works out. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. So hopefully well, because obviously this is a high-stakes game here, being the quarterfinals. It's win in advance or lose and be eliminated, so... it all comes down to this for the BHDL3 for the Philadelphia Pidgeys. Let's hopefully see if we can make it happen. So, he is going to go ahead and lead with the Moltres as we led with the Rotom. So, I'm going to guess this is one of his Terra Captains. So, the fact that he led with this straight away, probably predicting my Moltres, or I'm sorry, probably predicting my Rotom lead with his Moltres, leads me to believe that this thing may very well be Terra Grass and just go straight for a grass move. So I'm just going to switch straight into Goodra here. I don't think this thing can really do a ton to Goodra, so I'm just going to make that play. This is going to be pretty much the same thing that I did in the opening moments of the last game, but I don't want to risk Rotom as we switch in with Goodra here, as he is going to go ahead and Terra right away. Is he going to be Terra Grass and try to take us out with the Terra Blast Grass? That would be actually great if this is what happens. Yep, Terra Grass, knew it. I knew he was going to try that. Okay, so he's Terra Grass on the Moltres. Does he Terra Blast? 100%. Yep, so we catch him with the Sap Sipper. That's awesome. That's perfect, actually. Okay, so that first turn went very perfectly for us. So he's got Terra Blast. Yeah, we were not falling for that one, buddy. Sorry. So yeah, so Grass. So that means the Houndstone cannot Terra later, which is key. Based on the Pokemon that he has at his disposal, we're going to get a free shot off on something, I think. I feel like going for the Ice Beam is relatively fine. So we're just going to try to fire an Ice Beam at something and see what happens. So he just U-turns. Okay, that's fine. So minimal damage, but he does get the pivot, obviously. So he's got U-turn on there as well. We are going to catch something with an Ice Beam here. We'll see what it is. What does he want here? It's going to be, I think that's the Tyranitar. Okay, so it is the Tyranitar. So that thing comes in. He gets the Sand Stream up, obviously. So this is going to be the Weather War that I was fearing. So we get the Ice Beam off on this thing. Does basically nothing. We get the Freeze, though. That is huge for us. That is absolutely huge. So we get the Freeze on the Tyranitar. That is incredible. If he can stay frozen, that'll be incredible. So we take some chip from the sand and get it back with the Stealth Rock. Or I'm sorry, with the leftovers. I think what we want to do here is we want to get out of here immediately, and we want to go directly into I think we go directly into Ninetales here, because I want to erase the sand with the snow as quickly as possible here. And I'm hoping that we can take advantage of the fact that this thing's frozen. So there's the Ninetales. We get the snow warning to erase the sand. He is still frozen, so that's absolutely perfect, and he stayed in too. So that means that we actually can get a free Aurora Veil right now if we want to, and I am inclined to do that. We could try to Moonblast. He doesn't have the best of switches to a Moonblast, but I think Aurora Veil's the play. We're going to do Aurora Veil here. So he stays in, we go Aurora Veil. So we're going to get a special attack and defense increase for several turns for all of our Pokemon, which is incredible. He is still frozen solid, actually, which is absolutely abysmal for him. I do feel a little bit bad about that, because that is 2 straight turns. This turn, I think we're in an interesting situation, because we could actually take this chance to Calm Mind, but he's bound to thaw out pretty quickly, I think, at this point. He could have fire coverage on deck too. So, but I think we just need to try to hit this thing hard with a Moonblast right now. We have the Aurora Veil up. So let's just Moonblast. We know we outspeed him. He stays in and takes the Moonblast. Does a ton of damage to him. We get a special attack drop for what it's worth. He's still frozen solid. That is absolutely awful. That is absolutely awful for him. I do feel a little bit bad about that. That is horrendous for him. Yeah, I don't know what to say except that's Pokemon at this point. That's all I can really say. I guess we just Moonblast again, and if he stays in, we take him out. If he switches, we get some chip on something. But yeah, I guess there's no reason not to just Moonblast again, so that's what we're gonna do. He can't take another one. He probably does switch here because he doesn't want to lose the Sand Setter. But it's a big risk if he switches into Excadrill. No, he just stays in and he takes the Moonblast. He goes down and he goes down to 5. So that is absolutely abysmal for him. I do feel a little bit bad about that, because that was an absolutely abysmal turn of events for him with that freeze. So that is rough luck for my opponent. Good luck for us, obviously, as the Tyranitar goes down. We go down to 5. That means the sand is not going to be a factor in this game, which is huge, absolutely huge for us. And yeah, we'll see what he wants to come in with in response. We'll see what he can do to try and to fight back off of this, as now he comes in with the Azelf. And I think I don't think we want to stay in with Ninetales here. So I think what we do is, we don't know anything about this Azelf, but I think we just switch into Gudra. I think that's our play. So that's what we're going to do. And we'll see what he wants to do. Yeah, we'll see what he wants to do here. So there is the Gudra. What does he go for here? He goes for a Nasty Plot, so that's a problem. So he's going to go ahead and Nasty Plot, so he gets a sharp special attack increase as the snow does stop. We are still behind the Aurora Veil. We get some HP back with the leftovers, and now I do have a contingency for this situation, and what I think I'm going to do actually is, so he has Nasty Plot and Azelf. Hopefully he's not Focus Sash, because that would be unfortunate. But I think what we do here is we go ahead and bust out our Terra Dark, because this is why we have Terra Dark Gudra, to take this and the Houndstone on, and we just try to take this thing out with a Terra Blast. That's our play here. Hopefully he's not Sash, hopefully he doesn't predict this, but yeah, we're going to go Terra. Hopefully we can catch a Psychic attack here. So we're going to Terrastalize our Gudra into Terra Dark, hoping to catch the Psychic attack on this thing. What is he going to want to go for here? He goes Psyshock, perfect, so we get that prediction here, as now we're going to go for a Terra Blast Dark. He actually has the berry. He actually has the berry to reduce the damage, which is crazy. But we Terra Blast Dark, and that still does a ton of damage to this thing. And he does survive it because of the Colbur Berry there, so that was a pretty smart play on his part. But we still get massive damage here, and we're still behind the Aurora Veil. Now, he could obviously have a Fairy move, but it's way too risky at this point to do anything other than just Terra Blast Dark again, I think. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We'll see what he wants to do. What kind of coverage is he packing here? He is still at +2, but we are still behind the Aurora Veil. He's packing Flamethrower, so he goes Flamethrower, does basically nothing to us, so he probably didn't have any special attack investment, I'm guessing. So we go Terra Blast Dark. The second Terra Blast Dark surely takes out the Azelf, which is incredible, and that is going to knock him down to 4 Pokemon. So So the Terra Dark Goodra does put in some work there, which is incredible. As we get some HP back with the leftovers, and I think we still have one more turn behind the Aurora Veil too, which is nice. So we'll see what he wants to bring in to face the Goodra now. It is going to be the Walking Wake. So that thing's coming in. Now, I just want to double check to make sure that we are still behind. And in fact, we do still have 2 turns of the Aurora Veil left, which is perfect. So I think there's no reason for us not to just Draco Meteor against this thing, so that's exactly what we're going to do. And we'll see what he wants to do. He goes Flip Turn, interestingly enough. That's going to do basically no damage to us through the Aurora Veil. He does get the Pivot, though. We should note that he's got Flip Turn. And we didn't see a booster on the Walking Wake, so it's probably Choice Item. As now he actually does switch in the Excadrill, and so Excadrill is in. We go Draco Meteor on the Excadrill. Does some good chip to that thing as we take a harsh special attack decrease, unfortunately. And then we do get some HP back with the leftovers. So this thing could be a problem for us, obviously. I think, unfortunately, with the special attack drop, I don't think Scald is going to KO, but I feel like we need to get as much chip on this thing as possible. He probably takes this chance to try and Swords Dance on us, so we're going to Scald him anyway, just to try and get chip and see what he wants to do here. We didn't see any kind of recovery item there. He could also be Choice Item on this thing, that's possible, as he was last time, but the fact that he brought the Sand Core leads me to believe he's not. So he actually double switches here, interestingly enough. Perhaps predicting something on our side, and he double switches into the Walking Wake once again. So that thing's in. We go Scald. Doesn't do any damage, obviously. X4 resisted -2, but we do actually get the burn on this thing, which is actually crazy good for us. So we get the burn, which is amazing. More HP back with the leftovers. He's going to take some damage from the burn, and this turn the Aurora Veil does go away. So I think what we do in this situation, because Goodra's at -2, so it can't really do much of anything, I think we switch to Rotom. I think that's going to be our play in this situation, is switch to Rotom. So yeah, we're just going to switch to Rotom here. I don't see any reason not to. We could have stayed in with the Goodra, but I don't want to take more chip. He probably just Flip Turns here. But we'll see what he wants to do. So there's the Rotom, as now he is going to Hydro Pump. Okay, so he goes Hydro Pump. It is resisted. Still does a ton of damage to the Rotom, actually. So he may very well be Choice Specs based on that damage. But he does take some damage with the burn. So he does have Hydro Pump, so we should note that. He's probably Choice on the Walking Wake. It could be Specs. I'm going to say he's probably Specs based on that damage output. Now, in one way, I kind of want to go for a Volt Switch here, but in another way, I don't, because he could eat. I feel like, you know what? I feel like it's way too risky for him to bring the. It probably is too risky for him to bring the Excadrill in, so we can probably Volt Switch here. But at the same time, do I want to do that? I kind of don't want to do that. He probably goes into Moltres, perhaps, here, if I had to guess. But you know what? We're ahead. I don't think we make any risky plays here. We go Shadow Ball. He does switch. Okay, does he try to come in with the Excadrill to catch the electric attack is the question. No, he comes in with the Moltres. Okay, so Moltres is in. We do get a Choice Specs Shadow Ball on this thing. How much does it do? It does quite a lot of damage, actually. Not quite half, unfortunately, but it does do a lot. Now, he knows that we could switch into Goodra here, so he probably could take this opportunity to just roost. We know he has Terra Blast and U-Turn. He could U-Turn as well, so I think we just fire off another Shadow Ball. I think that's our play, so let's just fire off another Shadow Ball here, see what he wants to do. I think that's the smart play, because we got to keep the pressure on him. We don't want to give him any breathing room, because we do have an advantage right now. So he does just U-Turn. Okay, perfect. So we're going to get, it does do some chip, and he goes back, but we are going to get a nice Choice Specs Shadow Ball off on one of his remaining other 3 Pokemon. So either the Houndstone, the Walking Wake, or the Excadrill is going to have to take a Choice Specs Shadow Ball right now. And it's going to be the Excadrill, interestingly enough, actually. So Excadrill comes in. We go for the Choice Specs Shadow Ball. Is it enough from this range to take this thing out? No, it's not quite enough, unfortunately. But this thing is not Mold Breaker. We didn't see Mold Breaker, so I struggle to see what this thing actually does to us. He could hit us with some kind of rock move, obviously, but I feel like we have to keep the pressure on. At Rotom's low HP, I think it's done its job, so I think we just fire Shadow Ball again here, as he does just go Stealth Rock. Okay, so that's kind of fine. He gets the Stealth Rock up on us with the Excadrill, as we do go for the next choice Specs Shadow Ball. That is going to be enough, obviously, to take that Excadrill out from that range and knock him down to 3 Pokemon. So that is incredible for us. That is very incredible for us. He does have the rocks on him, so we have to be careful of that, but that is incredible. So now he is going to go ahead and switch back in with the Walking Wake. So he could, I feel like we just keep the pressure on. I feel like we just keep the pressure on here. We just Shadow Ball again. I think that's the play. So yeah, we're just going to do that, see what he wants to do. We got to keep the pressure on, I think. So we're just going to Shadow Ball again, choice Specs, max special attack on the Rotom. See what he wants to do. We should be able to take a flip turn. I don't know if we definitely don't take a Dragon move if he goes for that, especially if he's Specs, which I believe he is. But he does go Hydro Pump. I don't think we even take that. No, we don't take that from that range. Okay, so Rotom goes down, and we go down to 5 Pokemon, as he does take some burn damage, but that's okay. So now we have to bring something in to face this thing. So I feel like this thing is choice Specs based on the damage output. I feel like there's no way that it's Scarf. I feel like it's definitely Specs based on the damage output. So I feel like we go into Sneasler here, because I feel like this thing is definitely Specs based on the damage output. So we come in with Sneasler, we take some Stealth Rock damage, and now I think we just click Dire Claw. I think that's the best play for the situation, is to click Dire Claw. He could go Houndstone, so I don't want to close combat. So we're going to Dire Claw here, see what he wants to do. He does switch. Okay, so he probably does go Houndstone more than likely. So yeah, I think that's the, oh no, that is the Houndstone. Yeah, so Houndstone's in, we go Dire Claw, and it does no damage to this thing at all. We do get the paralysis, though, off the Dire Claw secondary effect, so he does get paralyzed, which is great for us. He gets some HP back with the leftovers. Actually, it is, to be completely honest with you guys, paralysis is probably the status condition that I wanted least against this thing, because that kind of makes it harder for everything else. But I think we either go Ninetales or Goodra here. I think that's certainly our play. I have to be careful, though, because I'm definitely going to need a special attacker to deal with this thing. So I think I don't want to get burned on one of my physical attackers. So I think if I could go Ninetales and get her another Aurora Veil, that would be incredible. So I think we are going to go Ninetales here. We're going to go Ninetales, even though the Goodra we might see him predict the Goodra to come in and do something else, but we're going to switch to the Ninetales here and hope for the best. Hopefully he doesn't have anything that would do massive damage to us, but we'll see what happens. We take the Stealth Rock damage. We do get the Snow Warning to make it snow on the battlefield, obviously, as he gets fully parried. So that is extremely unfortunate for him there. That is absolutely abysmal for my opponent. Very rough luck, but that is very good for us, obviously, because we get the free switch in Ninetales. Now, as much as I want to go for a Blizzard, I feel like it's going to be more beneficial to get the Aurora Veil up, so we're going to go for another Aurora Veil here. That's certainly the play. So he does stay in. We go Aurora Veil, so that's going to go ahead and get us those physical and special defense increases for several turns. He gets fully paralyzed again. Wow. This is, I don't even really know what to say, to be honest with you folks. That's crazy. We'll click Blizzard. There's no reason not to. He stays in, we go Blizzard. Does massive damage, not a ton though. He goes Psychic Fang, so he's got Psychic Fangs to bust the screens, which is unfortunate. But yeah, the double para was brutal. As he gets some HP back with the leftovers. So now that we know he has screen-breaking moves, we just keep spamming Blizzard on this thing. That's really our play, is just to keep spamming Blizzard. That's really all we should do at this point. So that's all we're gonna do is just keep spamming Blizzard against this thing. So, but yeah, that's some awful luck right now for my opponent. But yeah, I mean, he could stay in, he could switch. We don't know what he's going to want to do. He stays in, we go Blizzard. Not quite enough to take him out. He's down into the red. He goes for a body press. Not enough to take us out, fortunately, as he does get some HP back with the leftovers. And now we're in a position where the next Blizzard from the Ninetales will surely take this thing out. I don't want to mess around with going for an Aurora Veil again. I think we just need to get rid of this thing. We could Moonblast. That should be enough to take him out too, but no, we'll just Blizzard. We don't want to mess around with anything here. We're ahead. There's no reason to mess around. So we're just going to Blizzard again. He actually goes for the Shadow Sneak, hoping that it's enough, but it's not enough to take us out. Fortunately, we do survive with 16 HP in the red, which is incredible. We go for the next Blizzard, taking the Houndstone out, knocking him down to 2 Pokemon. So Ninetales putting in the work as the snow does stop this turn. Unfortunately, we are going to not be able to survive another switch in on the Stealth Rock from the Ninetales. So he comes in with the Walking Wake here, and honestly, there's no reason. Unfortunately, we can't get the Aurora Veil up even if we outspeed this thing, which I don't think we would. But we're just going to click Moonblast and see what happens here, as he does just go for the Hydro Pump. It does connect and take the Ninetales out, and that knocks us down to 4. So the Ninetales is down, as he does take some burn damage there as well. In this situation, I feel like... what do we do here? I feel like Sneasler is the obvious play. So yeah, we're just going to go for the Sneasler. I think Sneasler is really our play at this point. Yeah, Sneasler's the play for sure. So with the Houndstone gone, I feel like there's no reason for us not to just close combat here. I feel like close combat takes him out from this range, so we're just going to go for it and see what happens. We'll see what he wants to do here. I am pretty positive this thing is choice specs, so we should be outspeeding with our choice Scarf. And yeah, we'll see what he wants to do here, as he does switch. Okay. So his last other Pokemon is the Terragrass Moltres, so that thing comes in, so there it is. It's at about 2/3 HP. We go close combat. Close combat does take care of the Moltres from that range, knocking him down to just 1 Pokemon, and that is pretty incredible for us. So his last Pokemon is going to be that Walking Wake. So yeah, he's got the Walking Wake left. It is burned, most likely choice specs, of course. And so I feel like all we do here is just click close combat. I don't think there's any reason not to, so that's what we're going to do. We do outspeed with the Scarf, close combat incoming. It is actually not enough to take the Walking Wake out. He survives with like 1 HP in the red, goes for the Hydro Pump. Well, he is at -2 defense. He is going to take the Sneasler out with a Hydro Pump. But this turn, the Walking Wake is going to go ahead and succumb to the burn as the Walking Wake goes down. And that is going to be game. So we are going to win that one 3-0 against Viradu. That was a crazy game, I'll be honest with you guys. I did not at all expect this game to turn out like this. Just an absolutely crazy turn of events in this game. Man, I will tell you guys, this might be one of the first times in my life playing Pokemon that I've seen so much hacks in my favor that I actually feel bad for my opponent. And you guys know I've been on the positive and negative end of hacks more times than I could count myself, mostly usually the negative end. I don't think I've ever played a game in my entire life that have had that many positive hacks in my favor. The freeze, all the turns frozen, the para, the burn, I do genuinely feel bad about this, and I don't say that lightly. I'm not one of those players that says that lightly. This might be the first time in the history of Pokemon that I've said that I felt bad for my opponent, because I got positive hacks in my favor, but I do genuinely. Because this game was just dominated by hacks. I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys. Although I feel like I played well, I feel like my opponent played well as well. I'm not going to sit here and say that I played, like, the reason I won is some brilliant strategy, because clearly it was not today. But I guess sometimes, I guess that's Pokemon at the end of the day. Like I said, I've seen it on both sides. I've been a beneficiary and a victim of it, and today, just in the biggest way, a beneficiary of it. Yeah, I will. I have to acknowledge that, obviously, at the end of the day. But yeah, that was just a crazy, crazy, crazy game. And I guess there's not much else to say about that, except I guess one other thing we can say about that is that the Philadelphia Pidgeys now advance to an 8-2 record here in the BHDL3, advancing to the semifinals of the BHDL3, which is incredible. I am so pumped up about that. I'm so happy about that. Despite the craziness and all the hacks of this game, I am still very excited and very happy about being able to get back to the semifinals this season. So, but yeah, I guess just stay tuned for the next game. I'm just still in shock about how this game went, but yeah, stay tuned next time as we will bring you guys the semifinals of the BHDL3 with the Philadelphia Pidgeys. So, but that's it for this one. Thanks for watching again, everybody. Hope you all enjoyed it. Please hit that like button, leave a comment, and or subscribe if you did enjoy, and stay tuned for more new battles in the future. So, that's it, and we'll see you next time.